August 2022. This is the date that I started my fitness journey. The date that all of the good habits and all of the progress that I have made now really boils down to. Because fitness and making progress physically is the first thing that I can genuinely say that I ever stayed consistent at, that was actually having a positive impact on my life. Before that, I was just playing video games 12 hours a day. My routine was that I'd wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then play for the rest of the day. Go down only when I need some food or water or something like that. Interactions with my family were very limited. I'd just say casual greetings, and I'd just come back into my hidey hole and play video games for the rest of the day. But everything kind of changed when I just found a spark of motivation. I just began to, something just interfered with my natural wavelength. And I began to realize slowly that I could actually get super physically jacked, or I could make genuine progress physically if I just put a bit of effort in. So what that snowballed into was me making my first ever workout program. And I'll remember what it was still to this day. I used to watch, if you've ever watched the anime One Punch Man, you'll know the main character, Saitama. He has his whole 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 4 kilometer run. I did 3/4 of that, so I did the 100 sit-ups, the 100 push-ups, and the 100 squats. I didn't do the running because nobody does cardio, let's be real. And that was the first ever workout program I made. That's the first program that I ever stayed consistent with. The first thing in my life which made me realize that people who do hard things and people who make progress in doing hard things aren't superhuman. They aren't ridiculously just naturally talented. Some people might be, yes, but what it really boils down to is being relentlessly consistent. It's just being repetitive and doing this one thing again and again and again. It doesn't take some natural skill. You can definitely help if you had that stuff, but what it really comes from and where it really comes from is just the hard work, the repetition. So me making this first program really made me realize this, and this provided the foundation for everything self-improvement-esque that I'd do in the future. All of the progress that I'd make, all of the not just physically but mentality wise, all of that came from the first fundamental understanding that I can genuinely say that I've ever had in my life, that progress is possible in hard things. Everything else that I've done today, success wise, I can attribute to understanding that one simple thing, from just getting a spark of motivation or a spark of inspiration. This is the snowball effect of that. Initially, I was doing home workouts for the majority of the time. This program that I was following, I stuck to for around 3-4 months afterwards. I learned progressive overload along that time as well. So instead of doing 100, I'd do under 105 for a week or two, and then I'd up it to 110, 115, and I'd keep going with that. And by the end of the 3-month period that I was doing it for, I was doing around 300 push-ups a day, 300 squats, 300 sit-ups, and I was making a lot of progress. I saw physical changes, I saw muscle being added on, not substantially, but it definitely was there. And that was the biggest indicator for me that what I'm doing is actually making an impact as well. What I'm doing is genuinely making a change. I just had to get over that first 1 to 2 month latency period where I'm not really seeing much and not really getting that visual motivation from my physique that I had hoped that I would get. But after that went by, I started feeling a lot better, and March came round, and during this time I was in year 11 In the UK, that's like when you're aged 16 in the whole education system for those Americans. But during this time, it's pretty significant for a lot of people because it's when exams happen, the final exams of the year. We call them GCSEs in the UK, but you guys might have a different name for them. And these examinations are very important. I know a lot of people, they sacrifice certain things because they realize, okay, right, I've got to actually lock in right now. I've got to figure out something because I don't want to, my future's on the line here. Well, I'm speaking for some people. Some definitely didn't do that, but for most, that's probably the mindset that people had. And I was juggling between two things. I always had that desire to want a good physique and, to improve physically, but then I also wanted to do good on these two. But then my closest friend makes a very bold decision, and he joins a gym right next to our school, which I never knew was there. And he started going for a week or two with another friend of ours, and I started, that competitive side of me was ignited. I started thinking, wait, I've known this guy my whole school life. I've been working out at home. In fact, he was half the inspiration which I started. So am I really going to let him get even further ahead? Am I going to let him make progress about me? Now, bear in mind, at this time, my social anxiety was at its all-time high. I did not want to be in a public situation, especially in a public situation where people are going to, probably internally judge me because of how small I am, or because I was skinny fat at the time, so people are going to judge me on that. All of these things were going through my head. But what I was able to do, I was able to weigh out my two feelings that I was having inside. The first feeling, obviously, I'm being judged. People around me are going to size me up. They're going to see that I'm small, I'm this, all those thoughts going through my head. But also, the second and the better thought, the competitivity side. Am I going to let my closest friend that I've known throughout my whole education, am I going to let him and another get ahead of me? Am I going to let him make more progress than me? I can't let that happen. And what I was able to do, I was able to overthrow this other desire of being, judged and stuff like that. I was able to overthrow it with this one. And the first 1 or 2 weeks of me joining that gym, I didn't even have a membership. I was breaking into the gym to pretty much work out. Like that story is something that is going to be so fulfilling to tell in a few years to come, I can imagine. Like if you can tell your kids or something, like, well, back when I was your age, I had to break into the gym to work out. Like, that's a really self-respecting story to tell in the future, and I'm glad that I have this now. So yeah, for the first 1 to 2 weeks, I didn't have a membership. I was going into the gym for free, essentially, to work out. And that's when I realized, okay, this is my new addiction. This is the next step forward, because I'd been doing home workouts for 3 to 4 months at that point, and I was making progress. But I knew I needed more. I knew that I needed a bigger stimulus, a heavier weight, more competitive people. And that environment gave me it. Thankfully, the gym which we went to was quite quiet. It wasn't super popular. It wasn't really packed all the time. So that helped me ease into it. I know a lot of people won't get that privilege, but just know that if you don't get that privilege and you do force yourself into an area which, a gym which is quite packed, a gym which is quite popular, and you still have those feelings of being judged, just know that you're going to overcome a lot more than the guy who, joins a gym that's just kind of quiet, or joins a gym which is kind of, not super packed as opposed to your one. So here we are, a year and a half later. I'm still going to that gym. I still go to another one as well. But I can say that I finally achieved the first goal that I've ever set for myself in the gym. And it was to be able to actually say to myself that I like the way that I look in the locker room in the gym. Like, to be able to not even argue with myself over the fact that I like the way that I look. That the evidence has to be overwhelming. And I can finally say that I genuinely am okay and I like the way that I look in the mirror. And that feeling to actually achieve a goal in something which I found so substantially hard, and it's an indescribable feeling, really. It's only something you can fully experience by doing it. It's not something that me saying it here, it doesn't do it any justice. Now you can, if you get like an experience in achieving a hard thing, you can now sympathize and empathize with other people who do superhuman feats on a very small level. Like the fact that I've achieved this goal now, I can somewhat understand how C-Bomb feels during prep, or how, you know, professional bodybuilders have felt after achieving a feat which only one person in the world could achieve. It's crazy, man. The gym is, I can genuinely say, joining the gym will probably be one of the best decisions any man will ever make in their entire life. No doubt about it at all. So if you're already going through this internal stage of whether I should, whether I not, should I go, should I not go, always remember, doing hard things is always worthwhile. Progress in hard things is possible. You can attain what you believe like other people who are superhuman have attained. You can genuinely achieve those things with relentless consistency. You don't need natural talent. You just need to put yourself in hard situations as often as possible. Get comfortable in those hard situations, make progress in those hard situations, and be relentlessly consistent. That's what it boils down to. Forget finding the perfect success program or the perfect, routine and route for success, because you need to enforce those rules upon yourself and just relentlessly follow them. And I believe that the gym is one of the best and most simple ways for you to find those internal rules, for you to find that path. So if you're not already, join the gym, start bodybuilding. It will be one of the best decisions you will ever make in your life. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I also post content on my Instagram 3 to 4 times a week. And yeah, subscribe for more content. Don't be a vape puffing nerd.